Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and this morning I'm looking at a book from Routledge. We'll look at the book in a second. The title of the book is quite a long one. It's Technology and the Law on the Use of Force, New Security Challenges in the 21st Century. It's been written by Jackson Maogoto, and I hope I've pronounced the name correctly. So it's part of the Routledge Research in International Law series, and we're going to look at the review we've written in a minute. I'll show you the book. It's not very big. Blue cover at the front. There we go. No sign, nothing at the back of any major significance. When you go into it, you've got you go straight into the statement very quickly. Technology and the use of law. You'll get an idea of the structure in a minute. There we go. There's a lot of information about Routledge. Then you get the nice front page there, and then you get the list and table of contents. It's not a big book at all. It only runs to about 100 pages. I'll just run through it very quickly. There's a dedication to his mother, which is very nice of him, and at the back you've got a detailed index, which is quite helpful again. And there is a bibliography as well, which we'll get to in a second. There we go, very detailed bibliography. The actual book itself has notes in each of the various chapters, as you can see there. There isn't paragraph numbering, but it's a very well structured book in that sense, obviously because it's effectively a form of thesis, if you like, which has been published. Let me just run through what we say. My wife Elizabeth and I have written a review of this book. We've given it the title, While the Technology of Conflict Advances, the Legal Framework Fails to Keep Up. And that, I think, is what is the message coming through. This is what we say anyway, of interest primarily to international lawyers. This new publication from Routledge, which is part of the Taylor and Francis group, offers a fascinating legal perspective on the problems, not to mention the catastrophes wrought by modern warfare in all its forms, from military involving high-tech weaponry designed to kill, which we've seen in latest conflicts, to digital warfare encompassing a diversity of cyber attacks. The latter, while not directly causing loss of life, generates its own form of havoc by disabling or destroying electronic systems, thereby cutting off vital lines of communication. Actually a monograph, the book's perspective is global, extending indeed into outer space, which of course is the next frontier we deal with. The author, Jackson Maogoto, is a senior lecturer at the University of Manchester, and he undertook much of his research during his sabbatical with the British Institute for International and Comparative Law. Quote, "Without wishing to appear melodramatic," he says, "the prospect of a celestial war can no longer be regarded as mere fantasy." His extensive research amply supports this alarming prognostication. He mentions, to quote one example, the 2001 commission chaired by the then Secretary of State, which called for government investment in developing superior space capabilities. I think we remember the old Star Wars stuff from the Reagan era, possibly. Concluding that space warfare is or will be a virtual certainty. Interesting point, that one. For further discussion on this subject, check out Chapter 3, entitled The Fourth Domain, Ascendance of Outer Space as a War Theatre. Just remember, of course, there's always been the aim that anything we did in space would have a peaceful objective, but could well be that that doesn't stay that way, but we'll have to wait and see. What is referred to as the fifth domain is explained in the chapter on cyber war and expanded upon in the final chapter on old legal frameworks for new threats. Technology has advanced, observed the author, but the legal framework has failed to adapt, rendering states unable to legally defend themselves effectively. Now there's an argument that lamentably seems unarguable, which gives rise to a discussion of another key issue, self-defence and the right of states to respond. Here, the role past, present and future of the United Nations in international conflict of whatever kind is considered throughout. Now, we think that academics and students, as well as comparative lawyers, will welcome this author's thorough approach to a quite thorny and certainly topical subject, and with a bibliography of no less than 19 pages, plus useful table of cases and statutes, the book is an excellent research resource, and the publication date is cited as at 2015. Let's just have a look at it again. As I say, it's very light. It's obviously a thesis which is developed. And the book itself, just open it in the middle and see, there we go. That just gives you some idea of the content of the actual chapters themselves. It's very well researched throughout. The conclusion, I think, is well worth reading at the back, which gives you some idea of where we're going. It's not a long conclusion at all, 2 pages. And then you've got the bibliography. We're very pleased with this book. We think it's a great contribution to where we're going with the difficulties that the world is basically facing at the moment with the various conflicts that are taking place. I would point out, of course, that we don't have that many substantial conflicts in different theatres throughout the world at the moment. But what we do get, because of 24-hour media, is very instant coverage, and we're kept very much up to date. Anyway, thank you to Routledge and the author and the huge amount of work he's put into this. I'm sure this will be a valuable contribution to the ongoing debate, if I can put it that way. Thank you to all concerned anyway, and bye-bye.